If he plays Counter-Strike, go ahead and get out of there, because that's one of the most toxic and manipulative men you're ever gonna come across.
Don't care. Have fun, guys. But anyways, it's time to make some money. Because today we're not guessing, we're analyzing. And we are answering one important question. How does Valve decide which case they will remove from the weekly drop pool? Because if there is a pattern, even a weak one, that's where the edge is. So quick thing before the data, Valve doesn't remove cases randomly. They have to remove cases if every case stays forever, supply explodes, expected value drops, and opening cases stops making sense. Removals are how Valve maintains scarcity for the player base. So I pulled data on all 43 existing CS cases. For each case I looked when it was released, how it dropped, for example was it in the armory or operation case, and if it got removed, when did that happen. Sounds solid, but most of that data is useless, so I had to clean it up. First we remove stuff that doesn't matter. Operation cases and armory pass cases like Fever and Gallery. Anything that doesn't follow the weekly drop system. Then there's one big cutoff, June 3rd, 2021. That's when Valve changed how weekly drops work. Anything before that plays different rules, so it's gone. After cleaning, we are left with 10 cases, 5 still active and 5 already removed. It's a really small sample, but can be still useful to try determining a pattern. Most people would think cases got removed in an order. Oldest first, so I checked. Out of 5 removed cases, only 2 followed release order, 3 didn't. That's even after adjusting for older cases that were already gone. So yeah, release date alone doesn't tell you much. You hear this all the time, dreams and nightmares will never get removed. It makes Valve too much money. Cool, let's check. I used case opening data from CSGO tracker and looked at the month before cases got removed, and here's what happened. Danger Zone was near the bottom, around 6th out of 7th place. Prisma 2 was dead last, Snakebite was last. Fracture was 3rd out of 5th, but within less than 10% range. However, even though the clutch case was popular and ranked number 2, it was already close to its expiration date. Otherwise, it would have stayed in the active pool indefinitely, which explains its removal. Based on this pattern, it suggests that there are 2 possible rules. A case cannot be popular at the time of removal unless it is already old. That's interesting. And this is the key thing. Valve doesn't remove cases because they are old. Valve removes cases because they are weak. Age only matters when Valve has to choose. That's the pattern. Here's what the data points to. Valve removes weak cases first. When demand is similar, the older one goes. No case got removed before roughly 800 days. Old cases can still get removed, even if they are popular, but they usually need to be close to the 1800 day range. So it's not popular cases are safe forever. Weak demand goes first, as long as the case isn't too young, and age breaks ties. Now let's look at what's active right now. Genesis Terminal is about 107 days old. Brand new system, not going anywhere. Kilowatt is around 700 days old. Still young, also likely safe. Dreams and Nightmare is more interesting. Price is high, demand is decent, openings are not crazy, and it's around 1400 days old. And most removals happen closer to 1900 days. So my take is simple. It probably survives this rotation, but it becomes more vulnerable in the next one. That leaves Revolution and Recoil. Revolution is around 1100 days old and Recoil is around 1300 days old. Recoil also has about 20% fewer openings, so older and less demand. And if I had to point at one case, it's Recoil. It's not guaranteed, just the cleanest signal. And this is not advice, this is just how I think about it. This whole thing is speculative. If I'm confident, I lean harder. And if I'm unsure, I would split. That usually means more weight on Recoil or a 50-50 split between Recoil and Revolution. When a case gets removed, the spike usually happens around day 2 or day 3. And then it usually starts dipping hard. Let's take the Fracture case an example. The price peaked on the 3rd day. If you had sold it immediately on the 1st day, you would have made roughly the same amount of profit as if you had sold after initial FOMO wave. So when this kind of announcement happens, you still need to time your exit as well as possible. So I'm not holding anything long term just for hope. I rotate the new capital into a case that gets discontinued next, or into older cases that compound slower but safer. And if you need to remember one sentence from this video, it's this: Valve removes the weakest demand case that is old enough. And here we go, it's portfolio time. Last week my inventory was valued at 12,100 and I also sold the 2 skins I was holding. There's a high chance you have heard about real and valid case of market manipulation, like the MP9 Hydra and the M4A1S Nightmare. I sold my MP9 for around $200 with initial buy-in of $30. I sold it way too early and this was something I discovered on my own. My usual tactic is that if it's not in the news, it means that it has not peaked yet. As soon as I saw one YouTuber talk about it, I sold. In hindsight, I should have waited for a few more videos for maximum traction, because now they are trading at around $500. Quick explanation of why this is a market manipulation. This case is relatively cheap. It's a pink skin and it can be easily crafted, which leads to an insanely high amount of supply. This is especially true because it's not a mainstream weapon. It was also nerfed not too long ago. The same applies to M4A1S, which I bought for around $20 and sold for $40. Since it was a minimal wear, I did not make much profit, but I wanted to clean it up because I do not like holding non-factory new weapons. They are less liquid compared to factory new, less in demand, and therefore increases less in percentage terms. Back to the budget. This week, my budget is $585 and I'm going all in on recall cases because I'm a degenerate gambler. If this turns out to be the wrong choice, at some point I will have to average down because I know the price will dip in the future due to an increasing supply.